Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Dungrass, and this is the Dr. G's ADHD chat show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. This is the third in a series about surviving the holidays. We've discussed the symptoms and the causes of holiday stress. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about what you can do about it. And previously, I usually say at the beginning that I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist, and I'm also the father of a couple of ADHD people. And I've been working with ADHD for about a little over 40 years, actually. And I survived. Okay, let's go. Holiday stress. We talked a lot about the holidays and how we have all these expectations and hopes, for peace on earth, goodwill toward men, and all that stuff. And how frequently we get disappointed. And frequently people, well, we know that statistically there's more depression, there's more anxiety, there's more substance abuse, there's more marital difficulties around the holidays um, than at pretty much any other time of the year. So, what do we do about that? How do we? Okay, I use a system where I talk about your body first because that's what gets you here and keeps you going, and then it's think, feel, do. What your cognitions are, what your emotions are, what your behavior is, those kind of things. And occasionally we'll add some things about social, but uh, that's pretty much the breakout. Okay, so first of all, the body. What do you need to do for your body? Well, it's obviously you got to take care of the equipment if you want the equipment to take care of you, and that basically eating, sleeping are the biggies. Getting a little exercise is also important. Okay, eating during the holidays, you've got a lot of troubles because there's all these goodies around, all these sweet things that you don't usually have in the house, little bitty snacky kind of things, candies, fudges, uh, cookies, just all sorts of stuff out in a bowl somewhere waiting for somebody to come by and take a bite. Okay, I mean, obviously you're not going to be perfect, but you need to, keep the amount of sugar down some. Okay, sugar's not good for you. Sugar does things like, well, you start out hypoglycemic, that is, your blood sugar is low. You eat a couple of cookies or a big piece of fudge, and boom, your blood sugar goes through the roof. You're hyperglycemic. You have too much sugar on board. Your body responds to that by secreting large amounts of insulin, which takes your blood sugar down to, well, lower than it was probably before you ate the candy. And neither one of those positions is particularly comfortable. When you're hypoglycemic, you don't have any energy. You're feeling ornery and irritable. And when you're too high, you're sort of agitated and not very comfortable either. And then, boom, the sugar is the insulin takes care of the sugar, and you're back to being hypoglycemic, and that's all uncomfortable. So it's hypoglycemic, hyperglycemic, hypoglycemic, and you're irritable the whole time. And if somebody drops a glass behind you or something like that, you're gonna go through the roof. Okay, so that's the eating stuff. Plus, there's just we have banquet stuff. Things eat a piece of this and eat a couple of those and three of that. Try to keep your calorie intake down to where it usually is. Then we go to sleep. Sleep is hugely important. I mean, every adult needs 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night. Um, and the older we get, the more difficult that becomes. You tend to, have to get up more times during the night uh, because your kidneys are working overtime, and you have to, and you also are, well, you have more stress. You have more things on your mind. And the more things you have on your mind, the more things you're stressed about, the more restless your sleep is. So, doing whatever you can do to help with your sleep, please do. It because it is terribly important to get enough sleep. And then one of the other things you got to watch out for is this time of year. There's usually some alcohol involved, eggnog, and all kinds of little. Doesn't really taste like alcohol. It's kind of sweet, and so you may accidentally indulge a little more than you should or than you intended. But you've got to keep that back, because that also messes up your sleep. You know, Passing out is not the same thing as being asleep, and your body doesn't respond well to that sort of abuse. And you've just got to watch it. It's something. Got to watch what you eat. You've got to watch what you drink. You've got to get a little bit of exercise. I mean, at least some. 30 minutes or so a day is not bad. It's not very hard to do, and you want to get that, because that helps. Exercise is wonderful because if you're not feeling very energized, exercise stimulates you. If you're feeling anxious and uptight, exercise calms you down. Sort of a great regulator, and you have to find the exercise that you like, that you enjoy. It can't be because everybody rides a bike, or if you don't like riding a bike, don't ride a bike. If you don't like running, don't run. But there are tons of exercises. Walking is wonderful and doesn't require much equipment, and it does the same job as anything as running. Basically, it just doesn't have the impact, and it takes a little longer to get the effect. But uh, walking is a great exercise. I love rowing. I discovered that later in life, but it's great. It's like you can, you can get on a rowing machine, and you can work your butt off for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever your program is, and there's no impact effects. I used to be a marathon runner, and man, my legs would ache all the time. This, no pain. You do it right, there's no problem, no pain at all. Okay, so that's taking care of your body. The other thing you need, and we don't do enough of that, I think, in this culture as a whole, you need some quiet time. You need some time to just kind of sit and not do anything. Don't scroll through your iPad or your iPhone or whatever you've got. Just sit quietly. Let whatever thoughts you're going to have run through your mind. It's great for stress. It also gets you more in touch with yourself. And towards the end of this, I'll go into a little more detail and some other things about that. Okay, then the next part of this is cognitive, the thinking part of things. First of all, you got to set limits, okay? You got to set how many drinks you're going to have. If two, never more than three. You'll meet a lot of nice police deputies if you do that. If you do more than three, but just keep it down. And you have to be strategic. You have to plan ahead. You have to know what you need to get done and figure out what the best way to get it done is. Okay, you and your spouse need to have a plan. Uh, Probably it's a good idea to write it down, at least a checklist. Um, I find that most planners, organizers are a little too complicated for me to use regularly. I like a plain one, like a day timer is the one I use, and it gives me enough to do that I can write down what needs to get done without asking me, at what time are you going to do this exactly, and when, all that other extra stuff that I don't know how anybody who's not got obsessive compulsive disorder can keep up with. Okay, so but you need to plan ahead. You need to set it up so that you're not surprised all the time. You need to set limits and boundaries. This is what I will do. This is what I won't do, or this is what I expect you to do. Um, and remember, no matter how good you are, how great a planner you are, that sort of thing, it's not going to be perfect. It never is going to be perfect. Um, and just accept that. Okay, so somebody's going to drop a egg into your dip and screw it all up, or somebody going to drop something and break it. That stuff happens. A real important thing is to learn to delegate. That is, let somebody else do some of the stuff. Of course, you're the best there is at doing it, but if you try to do everything, you will burn yourself out. I know because I'm married to a person like that who has a horrible time delegating. Every Christmas, she would have 2 weeks where she was basically psychotic. Don't tell her I said that. She tried to do everything herself, and she did it, but at what cost? It was, and then she was actually she was doing chemotherapy, and so she wasn't feeling well enough to do it. So she had to and I have 3 kids, and they're all great cooks. Well, most of 2 out of 3 anyway, but they're all comfortable in the kitchen. They all can all do anything. Even, where our Christmas dinner is usually beef Wellington, which is a little bit complicated, but doable. And so she had to let the kids, divvy it up and do it themselves. It was the most relaxed Christmas I think she ever had. And now we do that fairly regularly. Let them do this. How about you do this and I'll do that, and da 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 da. But you don't have to do it all yourself. It's not your job to do it all yourself. And nobody works for anybody else. You're not getting paid. You're doing it because you want to. That's cool. But delegate it out. Get so that you're not worn out. And if you're lucky, you can delegate the stuff you hate doing, like peeling apples or whatever that is. So then we get to emotional stuff. And a lot of this is about deciding beforehand and then following through. You have to accept you'll be reminded of some things. Okay, you do this. Most of us have traditions at Christmas that we've been following since we were little kids. And that always reminds us of our parents. And that can sometimes get a little emotional, if you are, thinking about the people who've passed on or died, however you want to put that. You will be reminded of that, and that's okay. And it's okay to get a little melancholy every once in a while. And but just it's normal. It's nothing that you did wrong. It's just people die, and that will affect you. You will be reminded of that. That will affect you. Oh, we used to do this all the time. Remember what Dad used to do with a carving knife? That kind of thing. And it's also a time sometimes when you get in a kind of a melancholy mood, then you start thinking about all the things that didn't work out right in your life, all the losses, all the failures, all that kind of thing. And that's pretty normal as well. It's a time, it's a reflective time, and we are looking back at what happened before and what we did before. And sometimes it's for the good stuff, and sometimes it's not for the such good stuff, but it's what we've got to deal with. And people routinely get moody periodically during the holidays. So you don't want to be surprised by it or offended by it. It's just, one of the things that happens. And just remember, the more stressed you are, the more irritable you're going to be. The more, God, I got this plan. I'm doing it. And somebody screws it up, gets in my way, and I can't, do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And especially if you got 2 or 3 people working in a small kitchen. So sometimes a little bit of a problem. But that's just something you've got to work with. You just understand, I'm a little stressed out now. I'm been doing a lot of stuff. I got to slow down a little bit. Now, some of the things you need to do. First of all, if it's your house, set up a quiet place. If it's not your house, just find a place that's quiet. I love my in-laws dearly, but when we visited their house and all the brothers were there, sometimes I needed to get someplace where it was quiet. Unfortunately, upstairs there was just a little couch, and I used to go up there every once in a while and just kind of slow down, because they're energetic, to say the least. Okay, so you've got to set up a quiet place for you. It's helpful. I mean, for everybody, all of us would be better off if we did what's called a gratitude exercise a couple of times a day. First thing in the morning, the last thing at night. Just have a notebook, a journal, whatever you use. I use both all the time. But just write down. Usually they say 5 things. It's not magic. If 4 is better for you or 6, either way, it doesn't really matter. Things that you're grateful for. Okay, things, and it doesn't have to be, Emmy award winning kinds of things. It can be little things like, I had the best club sandwich for lunch today. Oh, it was so good. It doesn't have to be huge things. It just things that were positive. We are all trained to look for the errors, for the mistakes. That's the way we are taught. That's the way our parents raised us, because they were raised that way. We're always looking for the screw ups, for the bad things. And so we get real good at thinking critically, less good at being positive, or even being neutral for that matter. We're always like, I know people who aren't really comfortable with another person till they find out what's wrong with them, or what their weaknesses are, that kind of thing. It is not a great thing, but it's one of the things that people do, and it's just a habit. It's a thinking habit. It's something you learned. It's something you were taught. The praise you get for getting a good grade is never as much as the error, or as the heat you get when you screw up. So, and all of us would do better if most of our environment was positive. The Lesotho principle, it's called, it basically says that people work best when they get 4 to 5 positive comments for every critical response. And families, actually, it should be a little higher. But you've got to practice it yourself and for yourself, because the things you say about yourself in here. You wouldn't say that to another person, probably. You wouldn't call another person the names you call yourself when you mess up. Oh, you don't you do anything right. That stuff is poison, and you need to not be doing it, because It's not happy making and it's not productive and it doesn't improve a darn thing. Okay. It just keeps you thinking you're not as good as you would like to be. Okay. And journaling. Okay. And you do that twice, like once in the morning, once in the evening. Uh, some people, the minute my foot hits the floor, I do this. The other thing you need to consider is journaling in general, not on a computer, with a proper pen and a piece of paper, writing about just what you're thinking about, what's going on, what you might be planning. It is a good way to keep yourself grounded and to learn yourself. It is amazing that we don't recognize how we generate our own emotions, and we don't recognize how we make ourselves sad or make ourselves angry or that sort of thing. But there's a process. I mean, it's the way you think about stuff determines the emotions you're going to have. And the way to get in touch with that is to start out journaling. If you later on, if you get interested in that, there's other things you can do. But for right now, that would be a good start. And the other thing, the last thing you need to do is learn how to meditate or do relaxation training or do self-hypnosis, whatever you want to call it. It's all basically the same set of principles anyway. There are different ways to apply it and do it. And that's the thing. I think, nowadays there are so many different relaxation techniques out there. I mean, you can download them from the App Store. And, the problem is that none of them are designed for you specifically. And you have a way of dealing with the world, a specific way of dealing with the world that's not generic. It's specific to you. Some people are more visual. Some people are more auditory. Some people are more tactile. You've got to figure it out yourself. You've got to learn what works for you, what word choices work for you. I mean, I've been doing hypnosis, biofeedback, relaxation training for over 40 years. Again, it's really works a lot better if you use the word choices that your people use. And if you have the task that people, like ADHDers, they're always saying, "Oh, I can't just sit there and breathe and not think about anything." Well, then fine, don't do that. don't do something that you can't do very easily. Figure out what works for you. A lot of times, ADHDers particularly are great visualizers. So, just talking them through, and imagine you're walking in the beach. You're walking in the sand. The sand is warm under your feet. You can feel the heat. And you can feel the heat of the sun on your shoulders and the top of your head. And you can hear the sound of the waves. And you hear the seagulls off in the distance. You could build a whole safe place, if you will. That's a visualization. And that's one of those things that you can use anytime at all. Because the thing you've got to remember about, I keep having troubles with what to call it, okay? Because when I was first starting out, you didn't dare say meditation because people would get facial tics and what are you talking? Not only the Eastern stuff. Now it's well accepted. I'm not sure if anybody uses the term relaxation training anymore, but it's still all the same principles. And so the thing you've got to recognize or remember is that relaxation is a skill. That means you got to practice. It's not like an aspirin that you take it when you got a headache. You do it before you get the headache. You learn how to control that. And surprisingly, ADHD kids do pretty well with that kind of thing. You have to kind of, like I said, you have to know them a little bit and know how their brain works, they like to think about and how they think about it. And that's uh, a major, those four things are incredibly useful things to do that give you more control over you. And I highly recommend uh, basically learning to use all of those, you know, including to find a quiet place. It's not always easy, but you know, gratitude exercise, journaling, and meditation. Those three things, plus the ability to find some place to use them where you won't get made fun of or that sort of thing. Okay, and then probably the last one for doing this is when you are going to a family gathering, just don't contribute to the tension. Okay, like the man says, and I think I've said it in every one of these. We pick our friends. We choose our friends. Our family is assigned to us, or we're assigned to them, however it goes. So there you'll have relatives. You'll have some relatives you just love. I mean, I love my in-laws. They were a lot of, they were pretty great, and I was real comfortable with them, and I enjoyed seeing them a lot more actually than my own family, but that's a whole different thing. But the thing you've got to do is know when it's just not worth it to bring up a topic. I know nowadays with the current political situation, I'm pretty sure that if you have a big family and they're all together in one place, I'm pretty sure you don't want to talk politics. I'm just about guarantee that that would be a bad move, and somebody will get offended and somebody will get hostile, and it's just really not worth it. So I'm pretty passionate about the way things are going right now, but I'm not gonna start anything because it's just not worth it. I mean, so we have pretty much come to the end of the holiday tips, the survival tips, if you will. You have control over a lot of things. Okay, you've got to take care of your body, respect that. You've got to take care of your emotions, respect that. Your stress is totally a result of the way you think about things. If you get, oh, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, or else what exactly? And just use the control that you have. Experiment with increasing the control that you have. Learn to control your emotions. Learn to relax. Learn how to reduce the tension, and you will have the maximum toolkit that you need, to survive the holidays. Okay, hope this has been helpful to you. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras. This is my website is terrygingrassphd.com. You can go there and sign up for my newsletter, which is a different, usually it's a different topic than what I'm doing in the podcast. For the holidays, a lot of times I'll use the same topics, but that's not the norm. And we will, you have the ability to schedule an appointment with me to talk and see if we might be able to work together. I'm a certified high performance coach. I'm doing a lot of work with executives and athletes, and I also work with ADHD families. So if you'd like to do any of that, just sign up on, it's a Calendly thing. So You sign up and I get the notification that you've signed up, and then we get on Zoom and talk to each other. Anyway, and we decide, oh, but it is free. Okay, we just decide if we can stand each other and might get something out of interacting. Okay, we will catch you next time. And in the meantime, remember, we're trying to make the world safe for ADHD kids, or ADHD adults. We will see you next time.